All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce's weekly webinar. We are super excited today to have Christy Messer from On My Own. She's going to be promoting independence in adults with disabilities. And as you all know, these webinars are recorded, so they will be available on Facebook, YouTube, and the Chamber's website underneath the webinars tab. So you can share this webinar with anybody that you think might find the information valuable. Or if you need to leave a little early or you happen to come late, you can always check these out. So let's go ahead and talk about Christy a little bit. We're super excited to have her be on today, not only because of what she does, but because she's one of our members, and we're very, very proud to have her. So Christy Messer, MPH LCSW, relocated to Florida in 2010 from Washington, D.C., where she had spent years working with the Department of Health and Human Services to successfully launch community health centers across the nation. As a passionate public health professional, Christy currently serves the Dr. Kiran C. Patel College of Osteopathic Medicine, as well as an assistant dean overseeing undergraduate programs, as well as the director of the Bachelor of Science in Public Health program. Christy is the founder and president of On My Own, a nonprofit organization providing independent living and employment skills training to adults with disabilities. Christy also serves on the board of directors for two local nonprofit organizations dedicated to positively impacting individuals experiencing homelessness. Broward County Task Force for Ending Homelessness and Showering Love. Christy is also a licensed clinical social worker and is committed to positively impacting communities, children, families, and adults. She is currently working with individuals affected by substance use disorders. For more than 20 years, Christy has dedicated her professional life to underserved and vulnerable population groups through her involvement with the homeless, individuals with disabilities, communities affected by disasters, and persons impacted by mental health illnesses. Christy has presented her research and academic achievement at over 40 international, national, state, and local conferences. So she is well equipped to talk to you guys today. And again, we're super excited to have her. Make sure that you stay tuned until the end, because if you do have any questions, she's going to be available to answer those live for you. So Christy, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, it is such a pleasure to spend the afternoon with you all. I'm really looking forward to our time together. And I do have a presentation that I prepared, which I thought that you might enjoy seeing. So as you can tell from my background, I am a true public healther. And so addressing individuals who are underserved or marginalized, and certainly individuals who present with disabilities, that is a population that definitely falls into that category. And so I am really, interested in working with individuals that are often just misunderstood by society, and how can we embrace them and lift them up so that they can really celebrate a life of independence and celebrate a life that they're proud of and that they feel like they have meaning for. So that was really how On My Own came to be. So I'm a proud mom of 3, and my daughter Hannah is impacted by special needs. So she's intellectually impaired. But honestly, she's the happiest person I know, and she has brought me just incredible joy over the years. And so as she, started to get into her 20s, I thought, just became increasingly clear that, the opportunities for adults with disabilities to really pursue a life of independence and meaning is so difficult. And that, I don't know, many of her friends just end up kind of staying at home, most of the days and not really being, involved with their community. And so we thought, what better way to give back to our community here in Delray Beach and to give back to this population than to just work with them and lift them up and give them opportunities for independence and job training. So that's really what On My Own is all about. So we are a young nonprofit. We are about 3 years old, almost 3 years old. And we've just done a variety of things. So what I hope to accomplish today is just to share a little bit about what we're doing and hopefully just, solicit enough interest. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for, people who have an interest in working with this population. So I would love to share those opportunities with you as well. Okay, so let's get started. So I always feel like we should start with the mission of On My Own. So the mission of On My Own is to provide training to adults with disabilities to support the attainment of independent living skills, overall employability, job sustainability, and community engagement, with the overarching goal of successful employment and independent living. So when I think about my public health background, I really approach all individuals from sort of this whole person perspective. And so in looking with, just adults with disabilities, we can't just address, their emotional well-being. We can't just address their physical well-being or their spiritual well-being, but we need to really address them as a whole person. And so as we go through this presentation, you'll really see how On My Own does specifically target each of these areas because we know that there's so much, to an individual person. And so I always, talk to my students, to me, my students are more than just a student, much more than their academics. They're about, how are things going for them emotionally? It's not, it's not easy to be a college student during COVID. So we approach our students with that same perspective. So this is my daughter, Hannah, by the way, and this is her boyfriend, Tate, and they've been together for almost 5 years. And so it's been really beautiful to watch, that relationship grow over time. And, what just has become increasingly clear is that, we're really more alike than different. So adults with disabilities have the same needs and desires, as we do. And so one of my favorite poets was Maya Angelou, and I always think about her quote that says, we are more alike than different. And so we really approach students with that perspective of, what would I want for my life, to have life meaning and life. And so you can see here that we have a lot of fun. This was at Story Fest at Nova, and they were having a great time serving their community. So we take adults with disabilities and we provide opportunities for them to volunteer in their community so that they can, feel a sense of purpose and well-being and, just life meaning overall. So these are some examples of them volunteering within their community. We also offer just a ton of classes. And so much like the rest of the world in the past year, our classes were mostly remote. We did start back up with our cooking classes in January, and we are utilizing a Trinity Lutheran Church right here on Swinton, and they have a beautiful commercial kitchen. And so we are currently utilizing that space for cooking. But you can see that we have a variety of classes. So as you think about, that idea of mind, body, spirit, and really addressing the whole person perspective and working with adults with disabilities, you can see here that the classes really fit in nicely to those different areas. So as a public health professor, one thing that's very important to me is that we, start to mitigate the difference in longevity between these populations. So for example, adults with disabilities, die on average 10 to 15 years earlier than their non-disabled counterparts. And in most of the time, that has a large behavioral component to them. So we are trying to teach them a little bit about exercise, a little bit about my plate principles. So how can you, learn about portion control? What should you be eating? We talk about eating the rainbow. So we do a lot with just trying to, mitigate some of the chronic diseases that tend to present in this population with adults with disabilities. Now this cooking class here is really interesting. So it's another cooking class that the food that they prepare, they serve the homeless. So again, this idea of how can we combine the acquisition of a skill set with the opportunity to serve others. And honestly, you've never seen a group of individuals so excited about giving to someone else. And you think about, for the most part, these individuals have always been the recipient of help. And how nice is it in your own life when you've been able to serve and help others? So again, we're more alike than different. So we provide those same opportunities for them so that they can feel that's the same way that we feel when we serve other people. We have laundry classes, book clubs, friendship groups. We have a job support group that we started. So we just have a number of different classes. This was at last summer. We did a summer camp for a month, and each day was a different theme. We partnered with another local nonprofit, and that was a lot of fun. So again, a little bit more about our classes. The Be Our Guest, so our cooking classes, they culminate in a dinner party. So actually, we just had our dinner party a couple weeks ago, right here in Delray. So each of our chefs are able to invite 2 guests, and we bring out the white linens and they make fresh, floral arrangements for the tables. And we planned this, amazing menu. So we made chicken parmesan with, fresh pasta, banana cream pie, French bread, Caesar salad, fresh flowers. And so they are actually able to do all of this. So they've learned how to set the table. They just have such joy and pride about being able to serve their guests dinner. So this was the invitation, one of the invitations for our dinner parties. This was a Valentine's Day dance we had just before COVID. And so this is just a beautiful just illustration of them having a good time and how On My Own helps address the social needs of adults with disabilities. So I'd like to play you a little clip. That video just always makes me smile. We had such a fun time at that dance. We even had therapy dogs present and, really something for everyone. So as I glance around kind of the back of this picture, I'm also reminded of the importance of exposure just for individuals within the community to have the opportunity to be and spend time with adults with disabilities. So I think we can, all agree to the fact that we will tend to avoid populations that we just don't have a lot of, opportunity to interact with because we just, perhaps feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe there's some fear involved, like we just don't know how to act. So I always invite my students. So these are typically pre-med students, public health students. And of course, as burgeoning physicians, they need to be able to feel comfortable working with a wide variety of individuals. So we bring our students and they become our volunteers at our events. And what I've noticed over the years is through these opportunities of exposure, that they are in fact changed. And they recognize that, these are individuals who, just want to share their joy and life purpose with others. And it's really neat to see how those relationships have changed over time. And in fact, the students have enjoyed volunteering so much that they started their own student organization on campus. And so that has become one of the volunteer arms of On My Own. So we have, a number of pre-med students who are really spending time with adults with disabilities so that they can better understand them. So just some great pictures of that Valentine's Day dance and looking at the friendships, just a moment of joy. So job training. So we have a number of different classes that, really dive into the job training aspect. So of course, the middle is one of our cooking classes. I don't know what we were making there, maybe an apple pie, but we have made all kinds of things. And our laundry classes are really interesting. So what we do with the laundry classes is we take in donated clothing, and then our adults with disabilities have the opportunity to go through donated clothing and figure out what can be saved and perhaps those things that maybe should not be donated. And then they will learn to sort them, darks and lights and delicates and not delicates, and then they'll launder them. And then we fold them up here and provide them to low-income families. So again, attaching that job skill with life meaning. So here we're serving, individuals who are really struggling. This was pre-COVID, but individuals who are struggling. So they were picking up free food boxes and being able to pick up some free clothing. So they have such pride in being able to prepare clothing for them. And I also love it from the standpoint of, if you're an individual who's having a difficult time making ends meet, from the perspective of just dignity, shouldn't everyone have access to at least clean clothing? Like if, perhaps there's times when you can't purchase your own clothing, but certainly every person is worth, being able to access clothing that's at least clean. So they really enjoy taking part in that. This was one of our Thanksgiving events, and we're hoping to, serve the community food so that they would have a Thanksgiving meal. We just recently partnered with a laundromat in Delray. And so we realized that, utilizing just a single washer and dryer for the laundry classes, that was a little bit more challenging. So now we have contracted with the laundromat so they each get their own washer and dryer. And it was actually kind of a beautiful relationship how it came to be. So we pick up food 6 days a week, and we have for over a year now. So 6 days a week On My Own picks up food to feed the community. And we have been feeding a laundromat. So we found a local laundromat and we just started dropping off food. So this particular laundromat, we've been dropping off food for 15 months on Sundays. And he's, the owner is just a wonderful gentleman. And in fact, he lives at the laundromat. And he has really enjoyed having this food because it also helps bring in, customers to his store. So he's more than happy to support On My Own. So we will be having our laundry classes on Thursday nights, starting there in the next couple of weeks. So this is Hannah. So Hannah's successfully employed at Publix. So we're super proud of her accomplishments. She's been there for almost 5 years. And Publix is a great community partner. They have employed many of our adults with disabilities. And here you can see Hannah volunteering an event. She was in charge of distributing water to individuals who came to this event. So again, just providing them opportunities to give back to their community. Here is our cooking class. And so, goodness, what are we making here? Maybe chicken pot pie. And, our placemats, I love that they say blessed. And so we always take time to talk about our blessings and to give thanks and, really reinforcing that positive, just life perspective, for them. And they have a lot of fun with these cooking classes. So community and student exposure. So here we have several students who are students at NSU, who are volunteering to support On My Own and to spend time with individuals with disabilities. This was actually one of our classes where the food that they were preparing goes to serve the homeless. So, you can just see the smiles on how, not only are adults with disabilities transformed, but through exposure, so are individuals within the community who perhaps just haven't had a lot of opportunity to spend time with adults with disabilities. We're currently working on 2 really innovative opportunities for our students, and we are in the process of putting together a store on our website. So our students, our adults with special needs, are working with local artists So if you're online and you're an artist, or at least you have some artistic inclination, we need you. So we are pairing our adults with disabilities with someone who has, some artistic skills, and they're creating their own brand, their own logo. And then our clothing partner is putting that brand or that logo on t-shirts and hoodies, hats, bags, etc. And then individuals can just go onto the website and buy clothing that has this, person's brand on the t-shirt. And all the proceeds go back to the adult with disabilities. So it's a way for them to feel, really proud about the design they created, and then be able to sell it to all of their friends and reap the financial benefits of doing that. So they're even uploading pictures of themselves, so that on the website, when individuals buy the t-shirt, it's actually the person they're supporting wearing their t-shirt. So again, really looking at life meaning and purpose and self-efficacy, and really just giving them the opportunity to shine. So we're really, really excited about that opportunity. This was we did a holiday stocking. So gosh, let's see, we try to do something on all the, on many of the holidays. So I think we gave away about 400 buckets of love for Halloween. And these were holiday stockings. So I think we had about 100 holiday stockings, and we have the students at NSU that have stuffed all the stockings, and then we gave them away. So this was it. This was the event where they were stuffing the. And of course, Hannah had to help. So this was part of the student club organization. So they just really enjoy the opportunity to come together in a way to serve others. So again, a couple more pictures of just creating life meaning through service. So here we're at another community fair. This was some of the buckets for Halloween, and again, the Thanksgiving giveaway. So we've been doing a lot of feeding. So this is what our car looks like 6 days a week. And we pick up, well, for several months, we were picking up 50 boxes of food every day. And now we pick up 45 just on Thursdays. And all that food goes to support homebound adults with disabilities. So particularly during COVID, when individuals really couldn't get out, they really relied on this food. So we have a lot of community partners out there who, will come to the house, pick up the food, and then get it out into the community. So we're really thankful for all of our partnerships. This was another food giveaway that we put together. So physical wellness, again, looking at the whole person perspective. So we love to expose our adults with disabilities to things they've never done before, and really to help them kind of walk through, those moments of uncertainty and anxiety, and just really help them through. Because if they feel really nervous about doing something and then they're able to do it, then those feelings of success transcend into the next opportunity, for them. So this was kayaking. So we took, oh goodness, I don't know, I think about 18 adults with disabilities kayaking. Most of them had never been on the water before. And so we had everyone out in these tandems, and it was a lot of fun. We didn't get very far. It took a long time to get out onto the water, but they had a really wonderful time. And it was amazing to see them just feel so good about their accomplishment, that they were able to persevere and get through those feelings of anxiety and actually get out onto the water. So this is a little video of one of the participants. So just really sweet. You can tell from her expression that she just had a great. So this was our, our 400 love that we filled and gave them to different community-based organizations that also serve adults with possibilities. And so many people were able to partake in that. And again, we partner with the Special Olympics, so just some, additional pictures of how we really collaborate with other community-based organizations and share in this just opportunity together. So this is just a neat picture because you can see how you have, medical students, you have community members, you have the Rotary, you have adults with disabilities, and we're all just coming together to serve. And there's just so much power in doing that together. And that is just the contact information. So our website is just onmyown.org. So sometimes people get a little confused about these dashes, but it's just www.onmyown.org. And there is a way for you to reach out to me via the website, or you can certainly reach out to me via my email as well. So that is a little about On My Own. So I hope that was interesting, helpful, enjoyable. But I'm smiling because it just makes me so happy.
No, that was great. Oh my gosh, I loved the video of the Valentine Day dance and the stockings. That just looked like such a blast and so much fun, and just the smiles. It just made me feel good to watch.
Mm-hmm. They really are.
Wonderful.
How to have fun, let me tell you.
All right, Christy, so we're going to have some questions for you now. Again, to our viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat down below. I'm going to get us started. So, okay. Christy, my first question is, why are adults with disabilities an often forgotten cohort?
Oh, wow. Great question. I think
let's dig into it.
So in my research, I really focus on kind of underserved, misunderstood populations. So a lot of my search is specific to adults experiencing homelessness. So whether you're talking about, individuals experiencing homelessness or adults with disabilities or just individuals with disabilities, I think that they're forgotten about because they're just misunderstood. And if you haven't had the opportunity to spend time with them, you can feel a little uncomfortable, about like, what should I do? What should I not do? And so I think people will just avoid, sometimes opportunities like that because they're just not quite sure how to act. And so they're just forgotten about.
What advice would you give to people that, they feel uncomfortable? How would you encourage them to not feel that way?
I really think it comes down to exposure. So it's really hard to grapple with those feelings of uncertainty or anxiety in the absence of exposure, in the absence of just the opportunity to spend time. So I would invite, all the listeners to attend some of our events. And I promise you, you will leave changed and with a huge smile, and just recognize that, as I said before, we're more the same than different. And what an opportunity just to smile and share joy with another person.
So where can viewers and anybody that this might be shared with find those events? Do they just go to your website? Would they contact you directly? How would that work?
So both. So certainly on our website, we will post all of our events. You can also email me. We have Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So typically we'll post things there as well. So one of the things we're doing now, which is really fun, is we're having park exploration. So as you know, there are amazing parks in Palm Beach. We're also doing it in Broward. And we're taking our adults with possibilities out into the community and just having them navigate different parks. So there's so much you can learn through navigating a park, whether it's looking at a map or reading, rules and regulations. Are we allowed to eat here? What do we need to be aware of in our surroundings? And of course, very importantly, every time we are out in the community with our adults with possibilities, it allows other people the opportunity to spend time with us or just to watch us and kind of see what a nice time we're having, and that it's just a person with a different life journey. Nothing more, to it than that. We also have a breakfast club. So if you're a breakfast lover and you would like to join our breakfast club, we take our Adults with Possibilities out to different cafes, so limiting it now to outside cafes. And we, practice reading the menu, and how do you download the tip app, and how do you figure out how much you should tip? We learned the hard way from my daughter. She was a very generous tipper. She would just kind of throw out money. And so, how do you navigate those social situations of being in a restaurant, and all that there is to learn about social graces, and how to ask questions, and adhere to the guidelines that are put forth. So if you aren't a big fan of parks, and you think it's perhaps a bit too warm out there to hiking around, then join us for breakfast, and we'll have some pancakes.
No, I love that. It sounds like you have kind of something for everybody, which is, that's always great, because you're giving the opportunity to so many people, and all they got to do is take it, which is awesome. And I love that. Adults with Possibilities. That's so great. So let's kind of circle back a little bit to employers, because I know that that's what you do. You help to promote adults with disabilities to live on their own, and part of that is having a job. So what should employers know about the benefits of hiring adults with disabilities?
So great question. And I think we know of the community partners who are really open to that. So I think most people know that Publix, is really open to hiring adults with disabilities.
Starbucks,
is another one, Starbucks. And so they've done a lot of, research over time, really looking at, what are the benefits to the employers. And, I'll use Hannah, my daughter, as an example. So she's been at Publix for more than 5 years. She'll never leave Publix. They trained her once. Everyone loves her. People line up in her line because she knows who you are. She smiles. She's so happy to be at work. She is ready, dressed in her uniform, ready to go 4 hours before her shift. She wants to be an hour early so she can see her friends. After work, she doesn't really want to leave. She just wants to stay and help longer. When she's not scheduled, she has her uniform laundered and ready to go just in case she gets called in. So her entire life is about her job, because it makes her feel good. So, many businesses get into that sort of rut of, hiring, training, they leave, hiring, training, they leave. And that's very expensive, for employers to do that. So if you're willing to give them a chance, then they stay. And I think that from a financial standpoint, there's of course tax benefits, as well, to the employer if you hire this population. And also from a community perspective, I think that, many of us would agree that we are more likely to support the community-based organizations that support our community. And that means support all people within our community. So maybe you decide to shop somewhere because you see them, practicing, social justice, or serving the community in that really special way. And if you're an individual and you're deciding about where to shop, maybe that is the determining factor about where you shop. Yeah. So I think it says a lot to the community about who you are with, who you're willing to hire.
Absolutely. And I think before we got cut off before, I had seen a question down below. I hope I'm phrasing this right, because I kind of only glimpsed it a little bit. I think it said that if a business wanted to host or to open up that employment, do they contact you? How do they go about partnering with you?
Yes, that would be fabulous. I would love that. Just email me, and what I will do then is put you in front of, a couple of our adults with disabilities who are looking for employment, and just make those connections. And we've had some local businesses in Delray who have really opened up that opportunity as kind of an internship, first, just to kind of, get their feet wet. And our students have really enjoyed, that opportunity, because each place, of course, offers a different skill set. So one of them was at the Popcorn House, down off of Atlantic. And so we had one of our adults with possibilities working there, learning a little bit about the popcorn business. Yeah, so please just reach out to me and I'll make those connections.
That's great. And I love that place, the popcorn. They're great.
Me too.
Okay, so how can parents best support their adult children with possibilities?
As a parent of Hannah, just first say it's a life journey, and it's not one that ever really ends. It just kind of changes and evolves, which is true for parenting in general, as our children grow.
They're always your babies.
Yes, but looking back, for me, it was all about, that gentle nudge, that gentle, like over and over and over, and just encouraging and, creating those opportunities for her to operate outside of her comfort zone. Because, again, we're more alike than different. We know we grow the most. And those times when we're a little uncomfortable, with a new situation, a new job, a new, a new home, a new community, whatever it is. And so Hannah was always exposed, just to different environments, different people, different opportunities. We didn't really, take no, very often because, she would maybe be reluctant to do something. She's like, I've never done it before. I'm like, okay, there's always a first time. I'll do it with you. We'll do it together. And then I'd watch her celebrate her success, so I would just, encourage your children to do new things, try new things, because that's where really growth and life meaning and purpose, happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. There is always a first time for everything, which is, that's so true. And it's such a great little nugget of advice for us all to carry with us. So my next question is, what kinds of training and enrichment opportunities does On My Own offer?
So, we covered some of that, in the PowerPoint, but it's really about, opportunities certainly for social engagement, for independent living skills, the acquisition of those skills, whether it's laundry or cooking or, interviewing for a job. So I do a lot of role playing, with interviewing for jobs. I'll take our clients out into the community and talk to different employers and allow them that opportunity for interaction. So all of those independent living skills, and then also just employment, related skills. So they tend to kind of cluster in those three different domains. And then kind of the overarching framework is self-efficacy, or the extent to which we feel like we can do something, which is a really, strong motivator of behavior. So if you can, working with any person, if they feel better about what they're doing and they feel like there's life purpose and life meaning, and I believe that I can actually do it, through that gentle nudge, that I'm more likely, that behavior is more likely to generalize into other settings.
Wonderful. Okay, and then so I guess that my last question, I'm going to hit you with a couple. I know we've talked about this offline. So does On My Own need volunteers? How can I get involved? And I'm going to throw one more in there. I gotta boil it all together because it's all kind of the same thing. Do you have a virtual option available for someone that might want to volunteer but isn't quite ready to get out and about yet?
Yes, absolutely.
You're like, yes, yes, and yes.
Yes, absolutely. So we still have some virtual cooking classes going on. We have a virtual job support group. We are part of the Next Chapter Book Club, which is a national organization that promotes book clubs for adults with possibilities. So that's also virtual. I would love to, partner with someone who just loves books. And so the Next Chapter Book Club, will provide all the books. And so we've all been part of book clubs, and sometimes you don't ever even really get to the book, but that's okay. It's just a social experience. So, just giving them the opportunity to be together and to, practice reading and talking about the book. So there's a lot of online opportunities, definitely. And also, I have individuals and students just propose ideas to me all the time. So if you have an idea for a group, let's talk about it. And so the other way just to get a hold of me is, just email. You can, message me on social media, through the website. So whatever modality works best for you.
That's wonderful. Christy, thank you so much for joining us. I don't see any other questions. I think our viewer that had asked the question is on still, so I'm hoping I got that right prior. Thank you for joining us. I love your openness and I love your willingness to teach, and I think that that is just amazing. And we look forward to partnering with you in the future. Hopefully it's something that we can work out here at the Chamber. And yes, do you have anything else that you would like to add on to the end of your presentation today?
Just a big thank you. And I'm all about community and